What's going on, guys? It's your boy Echo Zero back again with another video. I know it's been a long time since I've posted. That's just because I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing really. Uh, I'm kind of don't really have anything to do right now. Uh, I got big life changes coming up in about a month or so. I mean, it is what it is. But I decided now, better late than never, to jump in on this and talk about something I've actually been thinking about a lot recently. Uh, Even with just like looking back on life and how gaming has kind of impacted everything. Uh, I kind of want to talk about the current state of gaming and how it kind of holds up with what I grew up with. And if I'm gonna be totally honest here, I don't like the current state of gaming at all. I remember being a kid, being like 9, 10 years old. Christmas time would roll around, and you know, I would have 10, 15 games on my Christmas list of just things I was constantly excited for. Uh, Games like, I don't know, the newest Call of Duty, which at that time would have been like Black Ops or Black Ops 2, which in my opinion was, in most people's opinion, the peak of Call of Duty. Uh, and overall, my fondest gaming memories are mainly from the PS3, Xbox 360 era, which is crazy because you would think as we would get better consoles like the PS4 and the Xbox One and now the PS5 and the Series X and just overall how the entire industry has evolved, we would be getting games that would make these other classics child's play. But to me, it just doesn't feel like that. I mean, if we talk about games that have been in the past, have just made a totally large impact and have revolutionized the way the industry kind of works. I mean, the things that most people will say is Elder Scrolls, whether it be Oblivion or Skyrim, which came out a long time ago. Same with Call of Duty that started so long ago, but I mean, peak being a long time ago. You had games like Dead Space, which they're remaking, which is another point that I'm going to get to later. The Batman Arkham games, Fallout New Vegas, which is arguably one of the best Fallout. Uh, I think Fallout 3 is in heavy contention, but uh, and not only for like Xbox and PlayStation, but a lot of people had the fondest memories of owning a Wii. Now, I'm not talking about the Wii U. I'm talking about the OG Wii. I mean, I used to have the little, gun attachments on the Wii. I'd be using to play the Resident Evil Wii games, which, I mean, come on. I mean, which is crazy to think about now. I mean, everyone's got the Switch and all that, but for me, it just doesn't have the same effect that it used to. Gaming used to be something that I was genuinely excited about. New games would be getting announced at shows, and I would just be building a list every year. And recently, I was talking with someone about what games I'm excited about this year, and the list was so small. I mean, it didn't even come close to how it would have looked when I was like 9 or 10. I mean, it just wouldn't look the same. Um, which is why I decided to kind of sit down and make this video, just to kind of give my thoughts on what I think about gaming. Um, I mean, back then I would have never ran out of stuff to play. Like if I got tired of Call of Duty, there was a plethora of single player experiences that I would have loved to play. I had any of the Fallouts. I had BioShock. Um, I had games that my brother had on his Xbox 360 that we used to play. Um, and even the multiplayer experiences back then, I feel like were such a step above where they are now. I mean, if you think about, you know, gaming memories for a lot of people like 10, 12 years ago, a lot of them would say, you know, oh, Modern Warfare 2 forced game chat getting, you know, roasted by adults when you were a teen or when you were just a kid. I mean, that's one of people's fondest memories. It's a thing that a lot of us experienced and had a great time with. And people just don't really get that same experience. Because there's a lot of people who say, well, you put kids in this generation back in playing Modern Warfare 2, they wouldn't even be able to deal with it. They wouldn't be able to hold up. Um, which kind of goes back in the whole thing. The experience has evolved, and I'm not sure if it's entirely been for the better. Um, Now, that's not to say that there haven't been good games recently these past few years that haven't made their mark. I mean, God of War was one of the ones for me that I really loved, the new God of War. Great, and they're doing the sequel for it, and I'm sure that that's going to be good. Uh, that's one of the big ones for me as of recently. But honestly, I can't think of that many that like really stick out to me. Um, but I mean, if you ask me to go down the line and have a giant list of games that I played back when I was a kid, I mean, Prototype, Fable, Infamous. I don't know if any of you guys remember that. Early Halo, like when Reach first came out, uh, that was a big deal. You had Dishonored, the Mass Effects, Splinter Cell, the early Splinter Cells. I mean, there were a lot of games that I could just, off the top of my head, the early Gears of War. I mean, before it got up to like five, when it was like the first three. I mean, I played those co-op with one of my brothers. I mean, it was a big deal. Um, and then like Modern Warfare 2 really comes to mind with in terms of like multiplayer experience. But now if I were to talk about, you know, games now, I mean, I try and go through a list of like top games that have been released like 2019, 2020, even 2021, and it doesn't give me that same feeling. And I don't think it's entirely because of nostalgia. I would be fine with saying that a lot of these games are better than some of the others. That's what I would want to say, but I really can't because it feels like a lot of the games that have been released recently just don't even really hold up compared to stuff that we've had before. There's been a couple like good one-offs. Like I know Hades was one of them. That's not one that I've played, but a lot of people have enjoyed it. And you can kind of genuinely gauge off of crowd reactions, you know, whether or not a game's really like good or not. Um, but another kind of major point that I want to talk about feels like gaming has come to this point where people are so wanting of that old experience that studios are just really remaking a bunch of games. And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that because I mean no one's going to say that they don't want a remake of their favorite game for when they were a kid. I'm mainly talking about, you know, Dead Space remake and you know, even people went crazy when Modern Warfare 2 announced that it was going to get remastered, and then people were mad when there wasn't multiplayer and it was just campaign. That kind of like urge to go back to that nostalgia feeling, a lot of people have. And I feel like game studios are now trying to capture that. They're trying to capture that feeling with a lot of people who have grew up with these games uh, to make profit. And I mean, it works because all of us love these games if you've played them and you have those nostalgic feelings towards them. But I just feel like, you know, when are we going to get something new that really hits home like a Skyrim? You know, like there was nothing like Skyrim before Skyrim, even with Oblivion. Like Skyrim changed that completely. Game mechanics were at the core the same, but Skyrim was an entirely different game compared to Oblivion in pretty much every way, and I think most people would agree with that. Uh, so I mean, I don't know. I'm of that mindset right now where I'm not excited about games the way that I used to be, and I don't even think it's entirely because I've gotten older because there's still a few games that I enjoy playing. But in terms of like single player experiences, that's definitely not one of the things for me. I think one of the few single player experiences I personally enjoyed was God of War recently. Uh, every other single player experience has been me going back and playing old games. BioShock, I just replayed the BioShock trilogy, and I mean, and I loved every second of it. I couldn't get enough of it. Um, but there's still that like urge in me that wants like a new series, a new game, new something of either the single player or multiplayer experience because it seems like we get um, things that are just the same over and over and over again. There's nothing that's hitting that like itch that I want scratched uh, with modern day gaming, especially with like the remakes that are coming out. Like Final Fantasy VII remake was cool because they did something different with it. But even like some sequels to the game, like Last of Us 2, even though it got some controversial awards in my opinion, that's just me. You can think what you want, but even that didn't do much for me, and I know it didn't do much for a lot of other people. But when I look back on gaming in general, eh, and all the memories that I have of it, I can't help but think of how far it feels like we've fallen in terms of like true quality from these classics that we used to play. And people are going to disagree, and I'm not saying that there isn't good games now. I think there are. Uh, I haven't played a lot of them recently, uh, and I know people are going to have like a favorite game that's come out recently, and you're going to come for my head. That's fine. I I respect your right to like whatever game that you like. Because if you like a game, then good for you. At least you have a game that you really enjoy. Um, it may not be the same game as me, but at least you have something. So good for you. Um, but in terms of just my personal opinion and growing up and playing games since I was 4 years old, I mean, for me, it is not where I want it to be. Um, the recent games just haven't done it for me from a lot of people. There's been a few, not many. Not like when I was 9 or 10, and I have an obscene amount of games on my Christmas list. It's not the same now. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give that discussion, um, talk about kind of the state of gaming and where my head's at on it. You know, I'm not good with all this YouTube and talking to people stuff, but I do like to give my opinion on things if people care to listen to it. If not, that's up to you. Um, but I am curious what your thoughts are about it. If you want, you can go down in the comment section below and let me know what you guys think of the current gaming industry. If you feel the same as me, or if you have a good argument behind if you think it's better than it was back then. Um, but anyways, if you guys want to see more discussion and commentaries type stuff with this, with a full face cam and talking about topics, if you guys have something you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe. If you do that, it'll let me know that you enjoy what I'm doing right now, and hopefully it'll motivate me more to try and put out more stuff for you guys. So, in the meantime, enjoy. Have a great day. Peace.